The main thing to know is that we have basically three ways in which we balance, basically. So we have our vision, so we can see the world around us, we can see the horizon, and as we're moving our head and living life and doing all these things, our vision helps us balance, about a third of how we balance. The other is the vestibular system, the main central balance system, which is basically, you can think of from the top down. We call it the inner ear balance system just because of where it's located. I think it's best to think of it as completely separate from hearing altogether, just to make it simple, which may or may not be completely accurate, but for simplicity, if you think of it as just completely separate from the hearing, so that people don't get confused. But it's basically our main central balance system. We just happen to have its two major organs in the inner ear. And so basically we can control our balance from the top down. When our head moves, we have to know where we are in space. When we're accelerating, we have to know where we are in space. So that's our vestibular system. It also tells us about our posture and to how to be upright. So we have our vision, we have our proprioception, and then our vision and our vestibular system. And then we have our proprioception. So that's the third one. And also our ability for our feet to feel where they are on the ground. And so, those three main things. If you take away one of those things, then it limits your ability to balance successfully. So you can think of a young 20-year-old, right? So if they stand on one leg with their eyes open, they should be able to stand on one leg just fine. If they can't, then there's another problem. Now, if they close their eyes, imagine that young 20-year-old all of a sudden getting very, very wobbly. No matter how good their balance is. And that's because we've put them into a very challenging situation with their balance. We close their eyes. Now all that's left is their vestibular system. So basically from the top down, the brain on down, and then also their proprioception and the foot feeling the ground.
So just by closing their eyes, you've taken away a third of what helps them balance.
Correct. And if you can imagine someone, let's say an 80-year-old, correct? Let's say they have mild to moderate proprioceptive loss, which is not uncommon. We see that all the time with that age group. Their vestibular system is not as strong as it used to be. Life has slowed down. It's been a long time since they've done, going on turtle whirls and done spinning playful things other than with their grandchildren. So their vestibular system's not as strong as it used to be. And their vision may not be as good as it used to be. And you can imagine that 80-year-old then walking around in the dark. And on top of that, their fast twitch muscle fibers have declined over time. So basically that takes away their ability to react quickly if they lose their balance. And just the way that they move has changed as well, more than likely. Not always. But all these things come together. And then if their legs don't know where they are in space, and then they're walking in the dark, that's a lot of things that have been taken away as far as their ability to be able to balance successfully. And that's when falls tend to happen.